Chapter 47. Layla marched alongside Inej, rubbing her arms to fight off the cold. Her sword jostled alongside of her. She wasn't sure if she should be grateful or disgusted that Inej had thought to bring it. It had been a few hours since she had collapsed in pain. It had come suddenly, an immobilizing throbbing in her head that brought her to her knees and had blood running from her nose and ears. Her hands had gone warm, as though she'd been shoved near the heat of a fire. A coppery taste still hung in her mouth from where she'd bitten her tongue. "It's your brother," Inej had said when she could walk again. "He's spinning power." "What does that mean?" "It means he's taken life from you. Slowly. You have more to give than you think, though I'm not sure that's good news." "He wouldn't do that to me." "He's just as lost as you, lass. Bet he doesn't even have the slightest clue what he's done." "We should find him, then tell him." "No." And the conversation had ended there. If Layla had known where to go, how to find her brother, she would have. Well, she didn't even know where she was. All she knew is she trudged somewhere in the wood, east of her home, and far from safety. And besides, Inej may have been the only one who could keep her safe from the Elmes. She had always expected the wood to be an exciting, if dangerous, place, filled to the brim with creatures and bird songs and something trying to kill you. That's what her father had told her and what she had believed. But after a couple hours of walking, of the never-ending onslaught of trees and the chirping of birds above, the world seemed to grow irritating and oppressive. "You know," Ulian said, seeming to read her thoughts, "I'd have thought with all the drama built up around the Vromia, things would be more..." "Dangerous," Layla said. "Less boring." Ulian gave a and nodded. His spectacles jostled on his face as he walked, legs moving twice as fast as Layla's in order to keep up. Inej walked out front a dozen paces, a pack on his back so large it looked like a load that could have weighed down a wheelbarrow. He'd pulled a thick fur coat from it some time ago, draping it over Layla's shoulders. It hung like a weight on her, and the hem dragged along the ground, but it kept her plenty warm even as the air grew colder. "It isn't the wood that's dangerous now," Inej said from over his shoulder. "Oi, how's that?" Layla asked. Ulian clicked his tongue. "Verngrinch has hypothesized that the displays of Maia that demonstrated themselves on enchanted flora and fauna within the Vromia were rooted in the presence of one single entity. He thought that if you removed said entity, such displays would also be removed." "You don't know how to speak plain, do you?" Layla asked, narrowing her eyes. "All I mean is, the power of the wood was bound up in a single entity, a being, as it were." "Stardavna." "Yes, and if that bright green light had told us anything, it is that Stardavna's power is no longer reaching its fingers out through the wood. It is safe now, in a way." Layla nodded. Inej had told her about the light and her fainting. He'd put two and two together then and swooped her off eastward. "There is one thing that don't make no sense about all this," Layla said. "Why is Oli connected to me? If it's about blood ties, why not my ma? Ain't she just as close?" Inej faltered. "Connections aren't always predictable. Nothing about magic is, really." Layla nodded, though the way Ulian chewed on the inside of his mouth told her there was more that they weren't saying. She wasn't stupid. The moment her mother had gone into the wood, Layla had figured she wouldn't come back. If she had died, then Layla would just grieve later. Ulian said from beside her. "I think our giant friend is acting rather odd." Inej stood a few paces ahead of them, motionless, his head cocked to the side. Layla opened her mouth to ask him if everything was all right when he dropped his pack and lay on the ground. He turned to them, grunting, "Get down." Layla threw herself onto the ground, forearms lost in the thick leaves. They'd been climbing up a gentle incline, flat rocks sticking out in front here and there. The trees crowded one another, and Layla couldn't see anything beyond a dozen paces. They lay there, Layla's breath shifting the mound of leaves before her. Ulian muffled a cough and suffered a glare from Inej, but otherwise the moment passed without event. Eventually, Inej sighed and stood. Aye, right then. I guess it was nothing. Come on, let's... A crack split the air and light exploded around them. Inej spun, flinging his shield around and battering away a bolt of lightning, reflecting it upward so it split the top of a walnut and sent a massive chunk of the bow to the forest floor. Everything became a riot of sounds and flashes of light that drowned out every other sound and color in the world. Dark ones, Ulian hissed, pressing himself further into the ground as though to crawl beneath the leaves. 2 Yelmes leapt from the cover of patch of brush, charging Inej. Their swords blurred, forcing the Velk backward as the blows hammered his shield. He tried to jab at them with his spear, but they came on relentlessly. Layla scrambled to her feet, the fur cloak dropping from her shoulders. Her heart raced as she tried to pull the sword free from its sheath. It took a terribly long moment for her hand to stop shaking enough to grab it. It stuck from the cold, but after a pair of rough yanks, Layla got the sword free. And there she was, standing just 9 paces away from the 3 fighters, her sword in her hand. She did not move, could not fathom what she should do now. Standing and fighting had felt right, but this was not like back and watchful. Layla knew she should help. But what could she do? And if Inej died now, where would she be? Inej roared, thrusting his shield forward and pushing one of the Yelmes back. But the other flanked wider around to the side, and Inej had to step back or become surrounded. He moved downhill, back toward Layla and Ulian. For the briefest of moments, Layla thought to turn and run. Inej was buying her time, and she could flee north like she had planned. But if Inej was right, and she did not doubt him, then the Yelmes would hunt her down. She needed Inej to survive. And Inej needed her. Unsure what else to do, Layla ran up to the giant and placed the palm of her hand firm on his back. I'm here, she yelled, voice cracking. Inej didn't respond. Instead, he waited until the Yelmes on his right, a pale man with a patchwork beard, stepped in for a blow. Then Inej dropped his spear and grabbed the fighter by the elbow in one motion. The man yelped as Inej yanked him, forcing him to stumble toward Layla, eyes wide in surprise. Layla was already swinging her sword, her blade coming down hard and fast, stopping only when it hit home. She didn't look at what she had done, only kept herself behind Inej, who turned toward the second fighter. Inej put a hand behind his back, pulling his dagger free. The last Yelmes stood little chance after that. With only one enemy, Inej's barrage became merciless. His shield turned into a club, battering down, and his blade found an opening. The man screamed. Then silence followed. You did good, lass, Inej said, wiping the blood from his knife onto his pant leg. Here, give me that, or the blood will freeze it in the sheath. He took Layla's sword and carefully did the same, wiping the blood clean. She stood, crying, but she did her best to ignore the tears. How she felt didn't matter, only that they were all right, and right now they were all right. Brilliant, Ulian said, holding the heavy cloak out to Layla. Both of you, brilliant. Just shut it, Layla mumbled, putting her sword away. She took the cloak from Ulian, handed it back to Inej for now. She didn't want to feel warm or comfortable or good. She wanted the pain of the cold, for the wind to nip and bite and to hurt. Inej took the cloak and sighed. There'll be more after this. They sense the connection. We better make haste. How much further do you think? Ulian asked, stumbling ahead of the others. Inej shrugged. We'll march through the night, but by sundown tomorrow we'll have to make camp. If the Maker's with us, we should get to the mountain pass the day after. Make camp with the Yelmes after us? Layla asked. Oi, even a Velk can only go so long without sleep. Now, Ulian, climb on up here. We'll make better time if your stubby legs aren't holding us back.